Hello everyone. Today we're going to create a Looker Studio report for Google Ads. So let's get started and go straight to the point. First of all, we need to access our Looker Studio, so lookerstudio.google.com. For those of you who are basically new, when you click here on creating a blank report, the system will ask you to go through a couple of steps to verify your business identity. That's very easy. And the next thing we need to do after we click on creating a blank report is we need to select Google Ads here from this list of options under Google connectors. Now, before we go straight into the point and we create the Google Ads report, please make sure that you subscribe and you like the video. It really helps tremendously to create new content. So thank you in advance for that. And let's get started. So I'm going to click here on Google Ads. And now the next thing we need to do is we need to connect one of our Google Ads accounts. So I'm just going to select here a random account, and then I'm going to go all the way on the bottom right and click on Add. So essentially you connect your Looker Studio with Google Ads. And this is our Looker Studio now. So let me make everything a little bit bigger. So how it works. For those of you who are completely new in Looker Studio, you can stick with me and we're going to go through the basic navigation. For those of you who know the basics, you can skip to a later part of the video and go straight into creating the Google Ads report. So the first thing, we're going to give our report a name on the top left. So we're going to call it Google Ads Test Report. Looker Studio works in a very straightforward way. So you're going to click here on Insert. And from here, you're going to add visualizations. So to give you an example, maybe we're going to add a rectangle. We're going to have a rectangle here that is going to be the header of the report. And once you add anything, then you go on the right-hand side and you customize the look and feel. So we're going to make it blue, for example, here. And let me experiment a little bit more. So let me add a little bit of text, for example, here. And I'm going to call this Google Ads Test Report. And same thing, I'm going to go on the right-hand side. I'm going to make the letters white. I'm going to make everything, let's say, a lot bigger, bold, align them in the middle. And that's the basics. So now let's go straight into the point. We connected our Google Ads account. Now we need to build a report. The first thing you need to do is you need to click here on Insert, and you are going to add a scorecard. A scorecard is basically a single metric. And my recommendation is to insert the metrics that follow what we call the customer journey. So we inserted the scorecard. We're going to go here on the right-hand side, and we're going to start with, let's say, impressions, how many times our ad showed up. Then we're going to duplicate, Control-C, Control-V, or right-click, copy, and then paste. And then we're going to go into clicks. And that's what I call visibility metrics. Then from there, we need some kind of efficiency metrics, supporting metrics. So we're going to add another scorecard here, and let's add some very straightforward metrics like, for example, CPC. And then let's add also our click-through rate basically here. And going into things that matter when it comes to our report, obviously, we need to include conversions. Very, very important. Conversions, the action that matter for you, whether it's a lead form submission or it's a sale or any other action. That's a very important metric. Cost per conversion. So we want to have here the cost divided by conversions and conversion rate. Right. So this is going to be our top line in terms of the scorecards that we have, right? So we go from visibility, impressions, clicks, efficiency, CPC, click-through rate, and then outcome, conversions, cost per conversion, conversion rate, the most important metrics. One more thing that I want you to do, grab all the metrics, and on the right-hand side, where it says comparison date range, click here and go and compare with the previous period. So these will add these indicators. So these indicators will compare the performance of whatever time period you are exploring with the previous period. Now you may say, what is the previous period? Fair enough question. We click on Insert. We are going to add here a date range control. We're going to put it here. Maybe I'm going to format my report a little bit differently here. And this is my date range. So how this works is if I, let's say this year to date, then these indicators will compare with the previous period. If I say this month, the indicators will compare with the previous month. If I say this week, the indicators will compare with the previous week. So now we have our top level metrics. One more thing that we need to do, actually quite a few things that we need to do. I like to add a column chart. So I'm going to click on insert again here and not add a new page. So I'm going to click on insert, add a column chart, basically paste it here. And this column chart now, we're going to go on the right hand side. We're going to change the dimension to month or week, depending on, let's say, the volume of your account. And this is going to be a trend line. So I want to see my trend line in terms of conversions, first of all, which is the most important of all the metrics that we have. So I'm going to select basically here conversions. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, click on insert and add another chart, which is going to be a combo chart. And perhaps what we're going to do here with this combo chart is we are going to see conversions over, let's say, cost per acquisition. To be fair, actually, let's make both of them combo charts, because what is more important to see actually here is we need to see maybe conversions over conversion rate and maybe the cost per acquisition, right? So my first combo chart, I'm going to actually make it conversions. And then the second metric is going to be my conversion rate that I'm going to select. And the second chart, maybe this one is going to be a column chart, basically. So we can change the style from here. It's going to be only reporting on cost per conversion. And these are going to be the trend lines. You're going to see in a minute what we are going to actually see and why we need these charts basically to create the chart. So we want here cost divided by conversions. So starting with my combo chart, right? So my combo chart doesn't really look very nice now. Why this is the case? Because I need to change the dimension again to month. If you are a bigger account, maybe you want to see weekly trend. And then what I want to do is I want to go on the right hand side here under style, and I want to change basically my series number one, which is conversions, to a bar. And then I'm going to click on show data labels to show the numbers. And then I'm going to go to series number two. I'm going to change this to a line. And I'm going to say that this is going to use the right axis. So now we have basically a chart that shows us conversions by conversion rate over month, right? And make sure here when it comes to the month that you're going to sort everything not on the number of conversions, but you're going to sort on the basis of month in ascending order. So you go January, February, March, April, and so forth. And one thing I like to do is go on style basically here and get rid of basically these grid lines so it looks nice and clean. And then my second bar chart here, I have cost per conversion. What I want to do here is make sure that we sort everything by month again in ascending order. So now I can see the trend line in terms of how my Google Ads account is performing, conversions over conversion rate by month, and cost per conversion by month. Let's click actually here also and go to style and say show data labels. Also make sure that you change this to 12 because over time there are 12 months in the year, so you want basically this chart to end up showing all 12 months in the year. Same thing basically with your combo chart, and this is the basis of our Google Ads report. So we have visibility metrics, we have efficiency metrics, we have conversion metrics, and we have a trend line, conversions versus conversion rate and cost per conversion on a monthly basis. Now, again, if you are a bigger account, you can actually do that on a weekly basis. What else I recommend you to add here? A couple of things, but in order to do this, we will need more space. So in order to make more space, we're going to come here, click on page, click on current page settings, go here to style, and maybe under height add 3000 pixels. So now I have a lot more space to add other visualizations. So what I want you to do is to insert a table. So I'm going to insert here basically a table. So click on insert and select table. And this table is going to be more of a traditional report that is going to show you your campaign performance, right? So we're going to make this table big. And from the right-hand side, we're going to select here campaign. Don't misspell it like me. So select campaign. And then we're going to add basically the metrics that matter. So I want to see conversions. I want to see my conversion rate. I want to see my cost per conversion. So here. And I also want to see perhaps, let's say, some supporting metrics like cost, for example, how much we spent. By the way, you can also add cost on your top level, let's say, metrics. That's actually going to be useful. So let me do that. So let me actually grab these metrics and push them a little bit on the side, and maybe add also the cost here of everything. If you are e-commerce, you can also add conversion value, which is how much revenue you are making, and that will be also very useful to see. So now we have a report that is more or less complete. So I have here my conversions, cost per conversion, conversion rate, and the cost. Now, if you want, obviously you can add other metrics based on what you want to see. Couple of things that I recommend you to do. So select the table. First of all, go on the top right under chart. Convert this into a heat map. So when you convert this into a heat map, you're going to see everything a lot easier because you can actually understand which values are higher, which values are lower, right? You can change the colors if you don't like, let's say, things to be very colorful. You can go to style here. You can go all the way down. And for example, here I can change these to, let's say, green, or I can change these to, let's say, yellow, whatever I want to see. I can change my conversion rate, let's say, to blue, and I can make things, let's say, look consistent when it comes to my chart here, right? So, and the cost is not going to be orange, it's going to be, let's say, blue. One more thing that I want you to do is go to setup, go down, scroll under setup, and find basically this option that says conversion date range. Click here and compare with the previous period, and this is going to give you the delta column. So the delta column is going to compare, for example, the time period that you are looking at versus the previous period. So if I am to look into, let's say, this month to date, then everything will refresh basically here, and this delta column will compare all my campaign performance versus, let's say, the previous period, right? So this is going to allow you to understand which campaigns are doing better, which campaigns are doing worse, and if there is any issues that you need to work on and optimize, right? Now, what else you need to do? I like to also include basically here another table that has the same format. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we're going to right click, copy, and paste the same table. And when it comes to this table, basically here, we are going to insert the keyword performance. So we're going to change the dimension campaign to keyword, right? Search keyword. So this is going to actually tell us what are the keywords that are converting, what are the keywords that are not converting, what is the cost per conversion, how much money we spend basically in every keyword. So now we have two tables. One is reporting on campaign performance, the other one is reporting on keyword performance. One more thing that you can do, click on your table and then go on the setup column, and what you need to do basically here is click on show summary row. So you can have the total basically in the bottom. You can see here grand total performance of all your campaigns, and the same thing you can do also here with keywords. This is helpful sometimes to understand basically a little bit better the context of everything. And if you don't want this table to be an infinite scroll, especially on keywords, you can go to rows per page, for example, here on the right hand side, and you can say I want to see only 25 keywords per, let's say, reporting page, and then from there you can click the arrow and you can go to the second page and so forth. So this is useful for big accounts in order to avoid having an infinite scroll when it comes to your data, right? Couple more things that I will definitely recommend you to add in your reports, right? So what else can we add? So we're going to scroll down. We're going to go to insert here, and we're going to insert a pie chart. And in this pie chart, I'm just going to click on chart and convert into a donut because I like donuts more than pies. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the dimension here to device. So now we see basically data by device, and I'm going to change the metric cost to clicks here. So this is where the clicks are coming from. Most of the clicks are coming from mobile. And then we're going to duplicate this pie chart, and I'm going to actually change the metric. The dimension is going to be device. The metric is going to be conversions. And then I'm going to duplicate also this pie chart. So I'm going to have three donut charts, and I'm going to change this to cost. So these three donut charts here basically is the performance by device. So what they are telling me is where the volume is coming from, where the conversions are coming from, and also what I can see is where I'm spending most of my budget. And why this is useful, because you can see the majority of traffic is coming from mobile, the majority of conversions are coming from mobile, but when it comes to where I spent the majority of the budget, I spent quite a significant budget on desktop devices, but this budget is not really resulting in a lot of conversions. So I can go in and optimize my campaign. Couple more things that you need to do. So I'm going to go and select these two reports, the combo chart, conversions by conversion rate, and the bar chart, cost per conversion. We are going to duplicate them, and then we're going to scroll all the way down here. And what I want to do with these two charts is I want to see basically the performance of conversions and conversion rate, a cost per conversion, based on different dimensions, so I can optimize my campaign better. So what do we mean by that? So this is going to be the same chart, but we're going to change the dimension from month to, let's say, for example, search network. Right? So now I can see basically here cross network, which is performance max, search network, which is traditional Google search and search partners, what is working better in terms of conversions and cost per conversion. And same thing I'm going to do basically here with my cost per conversion. I can see where the cost per conversion is higher and where the cost per conversion is lower. So I can see immediately here that there is an opportunity to eliminate the search partners because my cost per conversion here is a lot higher. Now I'm going to duplicate again these charts, and I'm going to change my dimension once again, but this time I want to see a different dimension. So I want to change this with day of the week. So I want to understand basically if there is any difference in terms of cost per conversion and conversion rate when it comes to the different days of the week, Monday all the way to Sunday. And this will help me understand if we need to apply, for example, ad scheduling. And let me give a little bit more space here to my report. So I'm just going to make this, let's say, 4,000 height. And I'm going to basically duplicate this one more time. And once, okay, I think the pixels didn't really go through. So maybe 4,000 pixels here. Okay. And I said that I'm going to duplicate this one more time. So pick up these tables basically and duplicate them. So I think I'm pressing something wrong. So the report keeps going back to smaller basically size. So let me actually do it instead of Control C, Control V. Right click, copy, paste, and now it works. And I'm going to have the same charts here, and I'm going to see now the performance on the hour of the day. So I'm going to click on this chart, and I'm going to change basically everything to hour of the day. And now I can also see if there is an opportunity for ad scheduling, because I can understand what are the hours of the day that are performing best and what are the hours of the day that are not really performing that great in terms of both conversion volume and conversion rate, and also cost per conversion. Now, couple more things to make this report even better and more client facing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of labeling. So I'm going to click on insert. I'm going to add here a rectangle, and I'm going to also click on insert, and I'm going to add a bit of text, and I'm going to use this to label everything in my report, because I'm not building this report for me, I'm building this report for my client, right? So I'm going to say this is visibility. So let me actually customize everything to look decent. Whether something looks decent obviously is up to you, like the colors that you're going to use or the fonts and everything. So visibility, and then I'm going to make this text bold. So visibility metrics, impressions, clicks. If you want, you can also add metrics like impression share, for example. You can add a lot of basically different metrics depending on what you want to see in your report. So these are my visibility metrics. Then I'm going to copy and paste this labeling, and these are basically my efficiency metrics. And then I'm basically going to copy and paste this, and these metrics are basically my business outcome. Conversions, cost per conversion, and conversion rate. This is the business outcome. And if you want, you can also actually go and, let's say, add here the conversion value, which is the revenue, and you can create another layer, right? But that's pretty much, let's say, what I want to see here. And this is my labeling. Let me make these fonts a little bit smaller so they can look maybe better. And I'm just going to continue and label everything that I have in this report, right? So, for example, here, let me make some more space. Because, again, this report is not going to be consumed only by you. It's going to be consumed by your different stakeholders. You need to tell them basically what they are looking at, right? So some labeling is always advisable to have. So here, for example, you can say this is a chart that shows you conversions versus, let's say, conversion rate by month, right? So that's what this chart shows. So we're going to basically label this nicely, and we're going to do the same with everything that we have here in our report. So the second bit basically here is this chart, and this chart shows cost per conversion by month. So we need to actually make our stakeholders aware of what exactly we are reporting here, right? Then obviously you can continue with the same logic for everything else that you have here in this report. Something that is very useful also to do, and something that I will also recommend you to do, is to break down the performance by the different types of conversions. This is a little bit more advanced. So what I mean by that, if we go to our Google Ads account here and we click on the segment column and we actually go to, let's say, conversion action here, we are going to see that we have different types of conversion, right? So we have clicks for directions, clicks to call, clicks to Google Maps, clicks to WhatsApp, completed booking forms, and so forth. So when we have here this scorecard and this column that says conversions basically reports on everything that is labeled the primary conversion on Google Ads. You may want to split that to see basically separately how many conversions you're getting that are, let's say, WhatsApp clicks, how many conversions you get that are, let's say, clicks to call, how many conversions you get that are form completions, and so forth. So I'm going to take this scorecard, I'm going to duplicate it here. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, let's say, create a filter. So I'm going to go to my setup column. I'm going to add a filter here. And let's say, for example, that I want to report on clicks for directions, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, okay, this is going to be a filter that is called clicks for directions. I'm going to say here, I'm going to select the segment conversion type name. This is the dimension you're going to select. So this scorecard is going to include the segment conversion type name that contains this string of text. And then you're going to save. And now this scorecard is reporting basically only for click for directions. And one more thing that you can do here is you select the scorecard, you hover your mouse under metric to this pen, and then you change the naming also so you understand what the scorecard is reporting on, right? So this scorecard is reporting on clicks for directions. And I'm going to do the same now for everything else, like clicks to call, clicks to Google Maps, clicks to WhatsApp, or completed booking forms. Let's actually do it for one more example. So completed booking forms. So I'm going to basically copy paste this one. And I'm going to basically here remove this filter and add another filter. So I'm going to say create a filter. I'm going to call it completed booking forms. And again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the dimension that is called segment conversion type name contains completed booking forms. And now this basically scorecard here, I'm going to change also the naming. So this scorecard here is basically telling me how many completed booking forms I have in the time period that I'm exploring. And you can do the same also with cost per conversion and conversion rate. So we can duplicate basically these scorecards here. And we can assign the same filters, right? So what this means basically is that you can actually come here and you can say, okay, we have clicks for directions. I want to see the cost per conversion only for clicks for people to get directions. So I'm going to add a filter here and I'm going to select this filter. Same thing with my conversion rate. So this is my cost per conversion and my conversion rate when it comes to clicks for directions. And same thing I'm going to actually do here. So let me select the right filter, completed booking forms, and my conversion rate when it comes to completed booking forms. Because sometimes the total number is misleading. For example, in this account, we get a lot of clicks to WhatsApp, but we don't really get, let's say, as many, for example, completed booking forms. So conversions as a number is going to actually report on the total number of what you labeled as a primary conversion in Google Ads. So that's pretty much it, the setup. So if I am to summarize basically on what you need to do, as you can see, first of all, it's pretty easy to create a Google Ads report on Looker Studio. So all you have to do is connect and just start building your report. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have a top level understanding of your account performance. So from visibility to efficiency to outcome, and then cost, and if you are e-commerce, revenue. Then if you have multiple conversion actions, break down your performance into the different conversion actions so you can understand basically what is the type of conversion that you are getting the most. Then you need to have your trend lines by month and when it comes to conversions and conversion rate, and when it comes to cost per conversion, and make sure you don't misspell everything like me. Then you can have some traditional reports, for example, campaign breakdown and then keyword breakdown here. And the last thing that I recommend you to do is analyze your device performance. So pie chart based on where the clicks are coming from, where the conversions are coming from, and where basically you are spending your budget. And then I recommend you to have also some more breakdowns in terms of network, in terms of day of the week, and in terms of hour of the day. Last thing, I always say last thing, but this is indeed the last thing. Click on insert and add here a drop down list, paste it here next to your date, and then this drop down list here, go under control field and change this to campaign. And why this is important actually is because now, for example, if you want to go into a specific campaign, so let's say I want to analyze only my generic campaign, I can come here and I can actually select only, for example, my generic campaign, and then I can see only, for example, data for my generic campaign, right? And I can deep dive in terms of my generic campaign, the keywords that are working, where the clicks are coming from, day of the week, time of the day, device breakdown, and so forth, right? If you are an international account, let's say if you run campaigns in multiple countries, right? So the next thing that you can do is you can also duplicate this, and you can add, for example, here a control field that is relevant to country, for example. And if maybe you are not, let's say, a multinational company, then I will also recommend you to have a filter that is based on device. So typically here, in terms of the filters that we want to include, we have a filter that is based on, let's say, campaign. We have another filter that is going to, maybe for some of you, we want to deep dive into the ad group. So you can actually change the dimension, the control field into ad group. And then we can have another filter here that is going to be based on device. So I can very quickly and easily narrow down to any dimension and just have a look at a report that only shows me specific data. Now, in terms of the metric of your control field, I recommend you to actually have it as clicks or as conversions. This is what makes actually more sense. So when you open basically your drop down here, you can actually see the number of clicks for every campaign or every ad group, or the number of conversions, right? And that's the final, I would say, report that we built here for Google Ads. So this one-page report is very, very comprehensive, very detailed, and it will give you all the information that you need to have when it comes to your Google Ads performance. If you are doing this for a client, one more thing as a bonus tip, click on Insert, click here and select an image. So from this field, basically here, go and add an image. Here we go. So I'm going to add it here. Then click here on select file. Then I'm going to go here basically into my my files, and let me go to, let me remember basically where I have my design files. Okay, here. So logo, PNG, and I'm going to add basically here my logo. And that's it. So now I have an image here, so I make everything a lot more client-facing. That's how you can create a Google Ads report on Looker Studio. Thank you very much for watching. If you found value in this video and you liked it, please like and subscribe. It really helps tremendously to create new content. Have a great day in any time zone, and see you in the next one.